Coming soon to a theater near you.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mr. Marin here with my brother RB. It's Halloween and Hulu has some must-watch joints for what they're calling Huluween. That includes the debut feature from writer-director Brandon Espy called Mr. Crocket, starring my fellow native New Yorker and Washington Heights own Elvis Nolasco, and they're here to discuss the film with us. So on behalf of myself and RB, we appreciate you brothers taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
No
Especially from New York, you know what I'm saying?
Sir. Yes, sir.
No diss, RB, no diss.
You know, I'm LA, so I give
RB slack all the time, so don't worry.
Nah, man. The love is there and it's so strong, man, that Dodgers, Yankees, we just can't, we can't seem to get away from each other. So
yeah. Don't start that convo, then the love won't be there no more. When I start
like every good sport, man, you shaking hands and compliment and just keep it moving.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. So for those that will be hearing about Mr. Crocket for the first time, can you explain the film for us?
So Mr. Crocket is about a demonic kid show host who takes kids away from unworthy parents or parents he feels that are undeserving of their love and attention. And it's about one mom's journey of getting her son back from Mr. Crocket. And so on this journey, she encounters, discovers his whole world with all these puppets and all these other wild things, and rekindles a relationship with her and her son in the process.
And it's a wild movie. I mean, and it's based on a short. Brandon, we have previously met on the film festival circuit, and seeing it come out on Hulu and being released into a full featured film. I mean, that's a dream come true for most filmmakers. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of walk us through getting that call from Hulu? When they wanted to make the feature and when they wanted to, take that next step with you?
Yeah. So when it was approaching the release of the short, I had already written a feature outline of how I saw it going, because in my mind, I had originally seen the idea as really expandable one that could be going to a feature. And I just took a chance. Like, you know what? Let me just take a stab at this and show them what I thought from like what a feature would look like in that path. And so we ended up meeting. It's supposed to be like 15 and 30 minutes. Ended up being like over an hour. We went back and forth with Worth and Brooks, who were executive producers of the short. And after that call later on that night, they hit me back and they said, hey, we really like this idea and have some, because wheels were turning, I think, a lot more within that meeting too. And just saying, oh, this could really be something. And so after that, I had worked with Carl Reed, who was my co-writer on this. He was the executive producer of the short, and I became close to him. And we saw eye to eye on a lot of things. And at the time too, I was really busy with my 9 to 5, and I was like, yo, if we really want to get this script done within the time needed, like I need help with it, just because I have a lot going on with family and work. And so brought Carl on to co-write, which was great because I had someone to really work back and forth with when it came to the drafts and present it to the studio. It was a fast process. Like we got the first draft out within the first 2 months of them saying like, let's go at it. And then we had to present it to Hulu, and then Hulu greenlit it financially. And from there, it was kind of like on to the races. So I think it was a lot of it was timing, but on top of timing, you had to be ready. And so if I needed to I knew I needed to come forward with the idea, whether like the short did well or not, because I saw opportunities where I could really elevate my career in some way. And I'm glad they were receptive.
Yo, that's amazing. And that's, just congratulations on that, man. That's huge. That's huge.
Thank you.
All right. Elvis, you look like you were enjoying every second on screen terrorizing folks. You were really having fun with this role. As a thespian, my brother, I'd imagine you had to tap into something to give us what we saw on screen. So can you explain what went into becoming Mr. Crocket?
Yeah, it was a really interesting process. And for me, it started, meeting Brandon in LA and sitting down and breaking bread with him and just being able to, after reading the script, hearing from him his vision, hearing from him his passion, hearing from him how he knew every character, how he knew the scenes, how he wanted to shoot it, the look, the tone. And for me, that speaks volume in coming into a project, because I really do my best to bring that much. If you're just as passionate about something, I want to match that, and reading Mr. Crocket, immediately I was able to envision a blank canvas, even though it was, first formulated into this short for Halloween bite size. I wanted to make sure that everything that I'm bringing to this character was coming from a deeper place. And I understood early on reading the script that everything that is happening in this world to the general mind will be like, oh, this is just outrageous, or how could this be? But I understood that there was a deeper meaning in this, and being able to, as an actor, and thank you for wording it, thespian, I wanted to make sure that I tap into the unfulfilled need of that character, of Mr. Crocket, who he was at a young, when he was known as Emmanuel Crocket, and what propelled him to go on this journey from a child to a young teenager to a young man to now being in this world. And yeah, we creative minds, this is horror, but for me, I had to be able to tap into that vulnerability, but also I had to make sure and feel that as a title character, that I set a tone for what was to come. And being able to do a number of exercises that I like to do when tackling characters like Carter Nix in American Crime, or J.P. Keaton in All American. I really like to go into a place where I want to immerse myself as much as possible into the character. So when they say action, I don't have to stop or think, where am I? The work is already living inside of me, and working with Brandon and being able to have that collaboration and that freedom. So, it was an interesting process, and I believe that it just spoke to me from the beginning. So very early on, I saw the smile. I saw Mr. Crockett's smile, and I knew that it was a bright smile. So I wanted to combine that bright, welcoming smile with some inner pain. So, I immediately reached out to Brandon and to Josh Feldman and the team over at Warden Brooks, and I said, hey, I need me these teeth, and I need them to look like this.
Yeah.
and they kind of questioned me, and they were kind of like, well, how much is that going to cost? And I'm like, I need this. This is part of the research I've done, and trust me, it's going to work.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's so funny. You went right into my next question, because I came from, when I saw the trailer, I had no idea it was you in the film. It wasn't until I started watching, I had to do some squinting and something like, is that my brother Elvis Nolasco? So I just, that mustache and those teeth, this is an odd question, but how did it go? Delivering lines with those big chompers, how was that? How did that,
That's a good question, man. That's a good question, because, again, I kind of like got into this, not creating a character, but making sure that Elvis Nolasco, the actor, is embodying, being immersed and living in this character's truth. And, I wanted that oversized type of mustache, and I remember my dad having that kind of mustache. And I remember, folks in my family and friends and in the neighborhood growing up, having that mustache. So if it was comfortable for them to look so wonderful in their mustache, then I had to make sure that it felt the same way for me playing Mr. Crocket. And it was a little getting used to, and especially the teeth. But what I started to do was, like, I would wear them all the time so that I can be comfortable with them. And, I would go to restaurants and I would walk around Philadelphia, and I would smile at people and kind of see, like, what's their reaction, But it was really uncomfortable. And, but I was asking myself, how could I work this uncomfortability into the character?
Well, and I feel that, you know, through the teeth, through the mustache, through the whole design of it, it's like a perfect blend of, you know, comedy with horror, but like also, like you said, like that relatability that we all kind of feel, you know, too. And I think all of us, you know, not all of us, but a lot of people in our community, you know, have uh experienced, you know, either have parental issues at home or have experienced it through their friends or, you know, through people in their lives. So I love that the film really taps into all of these deeper themes of family, of, you know, parenting and things like that. And at least to, you know, some, like I said, some good horror, some good drama. There's also some great comedy too. The moment that made me laugh the most was dude getting his head popped by the bubble with the gun, like getting his head popped like that.
All of the time.
And then Elvis, you doing, you know, you're singing while he's you singing the Mr. Crocket theme song. For one, how'd you get your singing voice ready for that, for you know, doing this song over and over again? And also, Brandon, what inspired that moment?
I'll let Elvis start with the singing question.
That's a good question, you know, and again, I think that, you know, in my career, I've been blessed to work on, like, you know, 4 different musicals, you know, but, you know, for me as a student of the arts and being able to really know my body, and, you know, just being part of this, you know, space where I'm constantly physically, you know, working on different types of movement, and, you know, my upbringing as a breakdancer in New York. So I think a lot of that just went into the Mr. Crocket. You know, I think a friend of mine years ago in Philadelphia, when I was studying at Freedom Theater, Mel Mathis, you know, he was someone who taught me the importance of borrowing from every other character you previously have done. When working on the present one, you know, you could always borrow a little something from all of the previous characters and bring it to the present one. So the song, again, it's almost like, you know, I'm not no Luther Vandross, you know, I wish, you know, but when you're singing from the place of the character, it really makes everything, and the character itself, you know, he's not blowing up, you know, notes, you know, but he's singing in the tone that he needs to sing to achieve the goal that he needs to achieve, and punish this one parent for. But I appreciate the praise, you know. I know that, interestingly enough, you know, they credit me as performer when it comes to the songs. And I remember when we were recording that in LA, and big ups to the musical director of the film, Mr. Crocket. I can't remember his name.
Alex Winkler, the composer.
Yeah, Alec. Yeah, he was very instrumental when I was inside that booth. And he really guided me into, like, okay, now pull back here, bring a little bit more here, you know. So so it's a team effort.
And then Brandon, just as a, you know, as a horror moment, a bubble blowing up somebody's head, that's kind of, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So what kind of inspired that for you too?
So I say when me and Carl were going over the type of kills we wanted to really reinvent some stuff. We didn't want to just do typical things that you might see within horror films. And in general, this guy, he has fun with not only kids, but also with how he approaches adults. So it's almost like with kids, he has like these kids games, and with the adults, he's like these violent adult games. It's like, okay, so you want to play with me? Well, bubble time, you know? And then even like in the beginning with like the airplane feeding. And I kind of like, I feel like each kill with Crocket, it's almost, you like take on their persona of some type of animal. So when it came to that bubble scene, it was like he's almost like a snake. He's like, his singing is like almost like mesmerizing to this victim. And in the beginning, he's almost like aligned with how he's attacking this parent in the chair. And so I feel like I just wanted to have some type of fun elements, and, you know, instead of someone actually just shooting themselves, I'm like, yeah, what if it was an actual bubble, and a bubble that was not going to break until that person's head's exploded. And I think in general too, even like the hangman reference we had in the house later on, where it said like "good night" on the wall, we were trying to think of little things to where he's like, he is having fun with this, you know, like even though he is like on this whole like vengeful path towards these parents, he's going to make sure he has fun with this as well. It's almost like rubbing it in their face even more.
No, that's deep. That's deep. And that's so cool that when you talk about reinventing horror movies, reinventing the genre a little bit, because I feel like we've also seen a lot of movies where things like pop out of the TV screens, right? Like The Ring, or not in like Poltergeist and things like that. But we rarely go inside of the TV world, like we do in this movie. So can you tell us a little bit about building the world inside of Mr. Crocket, the sets, the production design, all of that? What kind of went into that?
So this was my favorite part of the shoot, was shooting Mr. Crockett's world. I've always wanted to shoot a kids show, and we pulled a lot of great reference from Sid and Marty Krofft, McDonald's Land, Picture Pages, Pee-wee's Playhouse, obviously. And shout out to Michelle Patterson, who was our production designer, who helped us build this world before we even got into it. She presented a bunch of great options. I wanted it to be a very vibrant 70s forward set, and really just to have this element. It's like a theater, for Crockett to really play with, and to have these, because we actually shot a whole show too that, like that, a lot of it didn't make into the film. But we had the part where Crockett was teaching the kids lessons in each part of this set. And I say, like, those were some of my favorite parts, because like when I being inspired by these 70s shows, it's like back then as kids, when you see it, like, oh, this looks kind of cute, but now you look at it back then and it looks real creepy. And so I wanted to lean into the elements when it came to the bad side of it. And like these puppets, like they may not be the best thing, so.
Yeah, I thought the puppets were crazy. The lighting was crazy. Everything all across the board was very interesting. And, I related to that TV world on a lot of levels, because, I'm a Christian school baby. You know what I'm saying? I went to, I remember as a kid, they used to always remind us of like the 10 Commandments and never worship like false idols and things like that. So I remember like the church folk being real pressed about kids watching, Blue's Clues, Barney, or all that kind of stuff, because it's like they're thinking that, Blues, that's my generation, you know what I mean? Yeah, Blue's Clues, you know what I'm saying? And then, but because they're thinking the kids are like idolizing, these TV characters. So when, we learn later on in the movie that Mr. Crocket, he's pretty much like a Satan of, a servant of Satan, like himself. It brought back those church, teachers, like, breathing down my neck and stuff like that. So am I reading just too deep into the movie, or is like were demonic idol worship like kind of the core to the story, or, what are your thoughts?
I say with that, they weren't really the cornerstone of the story, but I say like, negative peer pressure within society on the youth was definitely a cornerstone, because Mr. Crocket could represent many things. Not only could be a show that the kid is obsessed with, maybe certain peer influences that parents aren't too aware of. Could be friends at school. It could be drugs. It could be anything that kind of distracts a kid going on a certain path their parents have like worked hard to get them on. Of them wanting to be better than them, but, end up falling into maybe the same cycle or same different things. But I thought, because it's like those peer pressures that attack the vulnerability of the youth. And for me, a TV show is kind of like that main trigger to attack the vulnerability of a kid. And so in many ways, because I saw people even saying like, oh, maybe he represents CPS as well. And so many other things. So I think there's ways that, I love people thinking like deep into it, because it almost falls into the umbrella of that like societal peer pressure in a way. And when it comes to demonic stuff, I think that as well, because especially coming from a church perspective, there is a lot of stuff where you see on TV, like, nope, that's the devil. Like when you're staying away from that. And so I totally see that too.
Yeah, and the demonic elements were visualized, brilliantly through the cinematography and stuff like that. It was also well done through your performance, Elvis. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you were mentioning before, you got the teeth, you got the mustache, but it's still a lot of you, Elvis, like in that role. A lot of horror icons are usually covered up in mask or like have some crazy makeup on it. But were you kind of apprehensive to, create this new horror legend that was so face forward? or were you kind of excited about that opportunity?
Yeah, no apprehension at all. I think that, like anything else, it starts with the words on the paper. And I believe that for myself going into this and being doing this for like 30 years now, over 30 years professionally, I think you learn a lot throughout the years. And I think that, you find yourself at the right time, at the right place for the right reasons. And I think that it was just a matter of being able to be in a safe zone, in a safe place. And I can't give more credit to the amazing producers, on this journey. Sean and Josh, Carl, RB, Jenna Cavell. Because I felt like as an artist, as a thespian, that I can really come into this world and be understood and be given the freedom to just create and to just be able to be free and do what will come to me spontaneously while living in this truth, while living in this character. And I think that that's the best place that any artist can be, of course, within the realm of safety. We had these amazing young kids that we were working with, and they were very talented, every single one of them. But yeah, man, just being able to, tapping into, for example, the amazing book by Junot Diaz, The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, which won the Pulitzer Prize in 2007. I joined forces with the American Place Theater to perform an hour and 25 minutes on stage doing 20 different characters, and no wardrobe change, no makeup change, everything just in your body, and being able to go in and out from different characters, whether it's a female, whether it's a 307-pound ghetto Dominican nerd, or whether it's a jock. So I think those experiences and being able to go through those challenges, has helped me. I mean, listen, I think it's a dream for any actor to be able to be presented with this. So I am forever grateful. But the answer to your question is just being able to bring all of my other experiences into one, and just being free to just fly. Go to the edge and just throw myself and not worry about where I'm going to land.
Mm-hmm. Were the kids scared when you was going full Mr.
Yeah,
Crocket?
they were scared. They were very scared. So scared that they wouldn't stop asking questions. Is Mr. Crocket real? They would constantly ask me, "Is Mr. Crocket real?" And I'd be like,
They had a blast them.
Yeah, I'll answer to them in Mr. Crockett's voice, and just let them know that, yeah, but Mr. Crocket is here to protect you and take care of you. So yeah, it was a 1 month long on set, just staying in that space of Mr. Crocket.
Right. The film ends on a note that leaves some loose ends to the story. Are you brothers open to a sequel for Mr. Crocket? And if so, Brandon, do you have any ideas written down for whenever Hulu rings a brother, say, hey, come on over?
Careful with that. Careful with that one, Brandon.
No. Yeah, no. I was gonna say is we're locked and loaded. So we got some ideas, fun stuff. Building on top of what was already been presented. So that's all I could say. But stay tuned.
Here's what I will add to that, and we all know this as artists, we do a work, and whether it's a painting or whatever it is, and we just don't know what's going to happen to that. We're doing it from a place of love and passion and creativity. But kudos to all the folks on TikTok, all the folks on Twitter, all the folks on Instagram, because their voice and what they want and how they're expressing, how they feel about Mr. Crocket, speaks volumes, and hopefully answers that question, Marin, because people are really engaging and creating their own TikTok and creating their own, and voicing how much they have been moved by this and how much they enjoy it. So I just wanted to make sure that I give props, and credit and thank yous to all the folks who have been watching it and have been talking about it, because they engaged, man. And I'm sure you guys know that. You see it.
And then sorry, RB, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I have seen it go crazy online, go viral online, and I love every second of it. So it's dope.
Absolutely. Before we wrap this up, I just want to give Elvis his flowers real quick, brother. My first foray into the film industry was working as a PA on The Sweet Blood of Jesus. And I've had moments to talk to you. We had lunch together one time. And every time I see you on TV or a film, I always let people know, yo, that dude, that's a good brother right there. So I'm always glad to see you working, and I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you. Just as you thank all of us for boosting Mr. Crocket and you know, keeping the film alive, I want to thank you for your presence, brother.
I appreciate your words, man, and I do remember you because when we got on the stream, I'm like, yo, that face looked familiar. Why I know?
Yeah.
But thank you for reminding me, and I appreciate your words. And you know, yeah, man, you know that's you know that's where we at. You know, we're here to pay it forward and give back. You know, freely what was given to us. And yeah, man, I appreciate your words, man. Thank you.
Thank you, brothers. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you, fellas. And yeah, thank you again, Brandon, for, you know, I reached, you know, for being down to talk to us too. And thank you to everybody at Hulu for also setting this up for us too, because
This means so much to us. So
it
much.
does. Yeah, it is a great, it's like our first like press junket interview. So, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully came correct. And I definitely want to encourage everybody to watch Mr. Crocket on Hulu. If you haven't already, go check it out. Halloween's around the corner. It's that time to peep it out. So
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, RB. Thank you, Marin.
Thank you all.
Coming soon to a theater near you.